All right, it's time for that moment when. End of 2025. Yeah, so I know it's technically one singular day early. I'm recording this on the 30th of December. I don't know that I can be recording it tomorrow, of 2025. And last year on December 31st, I recorded um, end of 2024, which was one of the only episodes I recorded in 2024. I recorded only, I think, three other episodes that year. And I did re listen to that episode in its totality. It was like around just under 20 minutes. It was like 19 minutes something seconds. And this is going to be probably pretty similar. I have some stuff I want to discuss pertaining to this year. Where have I been at? Uh, what were the things I was consuming? Because the thing is that last year I talked about things like video games I played, among other things. I can't talk, like they have favorite albums of the year, even some favorite YouTube channels, and I did want to discuss those. I might have a couple pop-ins just to show um, those things, like just put them up picture in picture, but maybe I won't, depending on what is easier for editing. But yeah, so let's go over this year. I released a lot of episodes this year. I made so there are 215 episodes of the original That Moment One Revived, four of which are from 2024. The other 211 are from this year, and then an additional, I don't even remember how much. I think it totaled up to like 264 or something between that and this year. Like I think we're at like 50 some odd um, amount. But anyway, it's a lot. It's a lot. And it's nice that I finally was able to do my Death Brain debut record review, the Fantasy Noises and Perfect Illusions. I was able to do a lot of album reviews. I reviewed every album, mixtape, and EP I've ever released. Not all of the singles, but I was able to do all the other projects and discuss those and kind of rank them amongst each other. I did 34 total album reviews, like audio based album reviews, which was very fun. I'm hoping to do more in the future. Um, and my upload schedule was all over the place. I was uploading a lot, I think mostly in like January, February, March. Mostly January, February, especially because of the Switch 2 stuff. I'll probably revisit some of them that I was like considering doing for today, but I didn't feel like it. Of like the Mario Kart World, or because we didn't know it was Mario Kart World at the time. The next Mario Kart and what are the tracks? What retro tracks do I want and all these things. And I made all those. I had a whole discussion about pretty much every track that was potentially going to come back. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I guess we can discuss those at some point later. In terms of YouTube, my top channels were, I believe, Raffle, for Balatro, Raffleite, um, and then it might have been J&J, and then Smosh Mouth or Smosh Pit, I think, is the one for Reddit, but I can double check those. Actually, we can throw it on screen. Yeah, there we go. So, from the YouTube recap, which I don't know how much I trusted, given I think there was some AI with it, but yeah, Raffle into J&J, which is BFDI, into Smoshbit, which was for Smosh Reddit stories. It is just nice background noise. A lot of this year was me doing podcasty style stuff. I definitely moved more into videos and stuff more recently, but I've really been enjoying the ability to not have to look at a screen, and I was talking about that a lot last year, and that really hasn't significantly changed. Like, I guess I am watching, I guess it has significantly changed. I am watching a lot more, but I still am liking more podcast format stuff, especially because there are a couple of games I have been playing that aren't too much on my hands, and those have been a few mobile games. Um, and I don't really have a game of the year for this year. I will talk about my spectators game of the year. Um, and by that I mean as someone who was watching stuff, and you can see Splatoon's on there. Um, but what really released this year that I actually was paying attention to, because honestly there wasn't that much. There was Kirby Air Riders and there was Mario Kart. There was obviously DK, but I don't really. I've watched some DK, but that's not a game I really care about spectating for. Um, if we're talking about as a spectator, what was my favorite game to watch this year and was really just enjoying all the stuff to do with it, it was Mario Kart. And I know it's kind of a lame pick because of a lot of reasons, but between Shortcat and some other creators, mostly Shortcat, I've really been enjoying watching um, how the competitive side of the game has gone. There's obviously some major issues with it. One of the worst Nintendo patches in history is in that game. Um, and I don't really think that's a dramatic thing. It's just the whole if you picked random, it wouldn't pick a 3 lap track, and so like it used to, and then they removed it, which I think was a genuinely awful decision. Like the intermissions just aren't that good. There are some that are fine and some that are even decent, but most of them are pretty bad. It always should be an option to have a 3 lap, because not everyone's gonna pick it. Just genuinely, not everyone picks it. So it was such a bad decision. But anyway, no use harping on that. But yeah, I mean, they're being like, "Ooh, Splatoon strategies, whatever." I know. Also, in terms of YouTube music, it was very weird. On the like my top tracks, I'm not gonna pull that up because it was just pretty bizarre. Like there was the Happy Dictator, and I think that's the most accurate one for specifically YouTube. But yeah, in terms of a game I was playing this year, I didn't release this year. Balatro very clearly wins. I have come to a point where even though Astrobot was the thing I said was my game of the year last year, it's kind of been usurped. Balatro is one of the few games I have fully 100%ed, and I've not only fully 100%ed it once, but almost twice. Um, in recent time, I've been grinding Black Deck Gold Stake, which is the hardest deck in the game. I don't really know that there's any argument that it's not Black Deck Gold Stake as the hardest, um, minus maybe Golden Needle, but like I mean more in terms of an actual non-challenge thing, which I've done all the challenges twice over now. But yeah, I've probably gotten like 7 Black Deck Gold Stake wins, and I actually even got 2 back to back, which was very cool. And only one of them had photo Chad, believe it or not. Photograph hanging Chad. The other games that I did play a little bit of this year that weren't too much. Some of them were a little bit um, strenuous motor function wise, but I did a little bit of FNAF 1. I made it up to Night 5, and then I didn't beat Night 5 on mobile. I played a little bit of Dicey Dungeons. I actually didn't really get that much into it. I didn't like it all that much. Not that I couldn't. It just like was playing 2 other roguelites or roguelikes that were just a bit more up my alley, or I at least got much more into. Balatro obviously was the main one. That game is one of my most played games of all time now, or at least in the top 10. And yeah, I mean, on PC alone, which I don't really play PC much anymore, and that was when I was playing with eye tracker, I got over 500 hours, so I don't know. It's a lot. I don't want to know what my mobile hours would be, but I don't have any tracking for that, so at least not that I'm aware of. Anyway, maybe I'll go through my stuff on that. But Slay the Spire was the other one. Slay the Spire is one of the only turn-based combat games I've really liked. There's a few. I remember really enjoying West of Loathing as well. But yeah, that's a game that I really, really enjoy. I did hit a very hard wall with it to a point where I just can't. And I do mean that more in terms of I'm trying to do the heart boss. That's maybe a spoiler. Um, I don't know, but there is a like true ending boss fight, and I have not won it. I've lost on all three of the default characters. Um, and on the secret character, I have done a fair bit, but I've not won. But I've won with all the default characters. I've done some of the true end stuff. The only thing I don't like, which I don't know that this is a thing that happens after you beat the true final boss, is that you can't deactivate all of the like true final boss like activation stuff. Like I just don't like that there's like a buffed elite that shows up on every map and that I have to avoid them if I don't want to do the true ending. That's really lame. Um, I just wish there was a ability to deactivate that because it's one of those things where it's just like, why is that not an option? It feels very strange to me. But I either way, I do genuinely really like Slay the Spire. It's very fun. It's very rewarding. I think there's a lot of really cool mechanics in it. And in terms of a favorite game that I played that was the first time I played it this year, there's not that many. Like it really just is between those two. Mario Kart World, I did technically touch a little bit. Like I did play it, but it was not much. It was a lot of having the auto use item, auto accelerate, auto whatever, just to unlock everything. And a little of poking around, but the stuff I played, it's not comparable. So, my favorite game I played this year for the first time would be Slay the Spire. My favorite game that I played this year, full stop, was Balatro. But yeah. Oh, and I replayed FNAF World. That was the other one. There was a mobile port of it that's pretty good, and I got the bad ending on the normal difficulty. So cool. Um, yeah. Apart from that, I'm struggling to think of literally anything else for this year in terms of games. Game of the year happened. I was pretty disheartened by it in general. I think this was probably my overall least favorite Game Awards I've watched. I don't inherently think it was awful. There were some pretty good announcements, but a lot of them weren't for me. There was nothing show stopping for me specifically. I had a friend who was very excited about the new Mega Man, and I'm very happy for them. That's a really big thing given how long it's been for that. And look, I've gotten my World of Goo 2. Like, I really have nothing else I can really expect from the show. But, yeah, everyone has talked about it, but yeah, no. I think they really do need to have some limits on nominations because Claire Obscure is I've watched a bit of it. It's a visually pretty striking game. It does just kind of look like a Unreal Engine game. I actually don't think it looks as good as people say it does. Maybe that's mean, but I really think it's kind of like it's fine. But that game did not deserve all of the awards that it got. At minimum, Silk Song's visuals are infinitely better, and I'm not even a big Hollow Knight fan, even from a spectator side, which I have been enjoying seeing bits that I have seen from that game significantly more. But yeah, some parts of Clair Obscure look borderline ugly, or just full on ugly, and it's not. It doesn't look like it's an intentional thing. It just looks like it should have been in a different game engine or something. And it doesn't help that it's like a what I would call fake indie. It's an indie game, but with such a big budget and a fair amount of people in comparison to some other indie projects that I just can't feel confident about it. And unlike something like Hades 2, which I think still is, has a lot more budget and people behind it and stuff. I don't know. I don't feel like it's fully earned or fleshed out, but I haven't seen enough of it, I guess, to have too big of takes on it. I just more know in comparison to other games that I have seen and heard things from, it felt very undeserved about the amount that it got. Like, it can win Game of the Year, it can win a bunch of other stuff. I just think there were certain awards, especially in the visuals department, that I think it did not earn at all, and not even remotely. But oh well. Yeah, it stole the show. There were a few other announcements. I know High Guard people have different opinions on, which is like I think it's like the Titanfall devs and a bunch of other people are working on a new like hero style shooter something, and it's like, okay, cool. But yeah, no, Game Awards this year was kind of whatever. A lot of this year was dedicated to Switch 2 hype for me. I've talked about literally like since the that January 16th trailer happened, I was talking about the console itself and all these things, and there were so many leaks. And yeah, I don't know. Definitely had some stuff that happened this year that was a little funny. Like, everyone was talking about. Actually, in fact, I had someone talking to me directly about the Animal Crossing leak, and I said that's not real. I don't remember if I actually even said it in a video because I was like, no, Animal Crossing wouldn't be happening now because it'll be Splatoon, and then it was Splatoon, and I was right. But even more so about the fact that I was like, I really don't think that there will be. I think I did do the thing of the look. Nintendo does what it wants, but why would they ever do a direct before September? They always do September, and I was right. They did September. I just remembered that was a whole thing that people were like, "Oh my god, there's going to be a summer direct." I'm like, "No, no, there's not." Unless you want to count early September, but I don't remember when in September that direct was, so whatever. Anyway, it was very funny to me. I was just like, no. Nintendo's going to do the thing that they usually do of doing a September direct, and they're not going to do an earlier one because they don't feel like it. Um, Metroid Prime 4 came out and had very mixed reception. That was fun. GTA 6 got delayed again, which is awesome. I hope it happens again. Um, what else has even been going on? Obviously, Career Writers. So I got baited thinking it was Smash, and then it wasn't Smash. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have too much on this. Mario Kart World was my big thing with that. There was the big April direct. I think. Um, yeah, I don't know. There was a lot going on, and it was a big wait, and I was doing a lot of episodes. But yeah, I don't know. It's been a very weird generation, Nintendo generation so far. Pretty bad, I would say overall. And with a lot of the stuff going on in the world and the governmental, and I mean even Xbox old like consoles getting a price hike. It's been a ridiculous year for gaming, and out of all the times for me not really physically be capable of playing a lot of games, this is probably one of the better times to have that happen because I just genuinely don't have the reason to be playing a lot of the stuff. Like Switch 2 stuff, I guess it would be fun because I own a Switch 2. I own a few of the games. I own Kirby Air Riders and Mario Kart World, but I just don't, I'm okay with not playing them. Um, Fortnite this year was really weird. I've been a Fortnite person just since probably mid 2022. I haven't been playing it, but I've been AFK farming and kind of watching all the stuff go on. It's been bizarre. There's been a lot of weird collaborations. There's been a lot of weird leak stuff. There's been controversies. A lot of the AI stuff this year has been completely out of whack. I don't even want to talk about it a ton because it's been discussed at length everywhere. And I mean, obviously, I shouldn't have to say I don't like AI stuff in games. It just genuinely looks bad. Like, even if I set aside the moral and energy implications, I just think AI genuinely looks really gross, and I just don't like it being anywhere in any media that I'm consuming. I will say, before a lot of it was blowing up, there were little bits that I remember doing, and I do have a want for going into the next year to delete and re-upload No More Fortnite 4 or No More 4 tonight, maybe with a new song or something, because that cover, even though it's really heavily obscured, the original image contains AI, and I don't really like that that's there anymore. Obviously, there's also like the EP for AI that I have that's pretty old. I don't know if I need to remove that. It's not only unlisted, but it also is listed in it that the songs in it, like the basis of it was AI, and then it was just completely. I was throwing notes all over the place after the fact, so to the point where it's pretty heavily obscured. So I don't know. Maybe I'll remove it, but it's also like it's not public on the channel anyway. Like you have to dig to find it. So whatever. I don't feel too bad with that one, but with No More Fortnite, that one's public and that one's a big project. So um, my stance on what I was doing with it at that time has changed. So I will be changing that when I get the chance. The only problem is the original video file I don't have, so it's going to take a bit of time recreating it, which is a lot on my hands. That's why I haven't done it yet. This something like this takes a lot less time. Anyway, but yeah, we can swap, excuse me, this YouTube bit out for something new. Yeah, so here was some of my stuff for my Spotify Wrapped. Um, I do have some explaining to do on a few of these, but I will anyway. First of all, my most listened to albums in the top right. Fantasy Noises and Perfect Illusions by Deathbrain, their debut record from 2022, is my most listened to album of this year off of Spotify. Spotify was the main platform I was using for music. And I still love that album. It's my favorite album of all time. I actually was kind of surprised it was number one for albums, um, predominantly because Deathbrain's not number one on my artists, but still, Deathbrain is one of, if not my favorite artist of all time. I really love the stuff they've been making. They also had a single I quite liked this year, although it didn't make the top songs, both because it was pretty late into the year and because I don't always love one track repeating off of an artist, especially one like Deathbrain where the tracks are repetitive. I prefer them in an album format. Like if I'm going to listen to even Hyperphantasia off of Slice of Life, I'm still going to listen to it through the album, not on repeat personally. Um, and we also have Quadeca album of Vanisher, Horizon Scraper, my personal, and I would still consider album of the year. There were some other ones that were close, or at least one major other album that was close for me towards the end of the year, which I will discuss. But it was pretty late in, and by that time, there was no way it was going to catch up that high. Um, we have Scrapyard as a mixtape at third. Not really an album, but you know it's in there anyway. It's a very good project. I've talked it up a lot. Last year, I said that it was an honorable mention for my albums of the year. If I were to consider it an album now, with how I've re-rated everything, I would probably put it over Dusters and Dreams, but it's really big toss up, honestly. And the more time that's gone on, the more I'm pretty unsure of where between the two of them what would go above. But both of them were in my top five albums listened to this year on Spotify. As that In Dreams is number five, and then number four is the Cult of the Lamb soundtrack. I'm shocked it was this high up, but it's a very good album. One of my favorites from that year, which I actually don't even remember what year that was, so maybe I'm lying. That's probably 2022 though. Um, but anyway, probably my favorite video game soundtrack of all time. I've talked about it. It's a game that I liked, and I didn't finish, but the soundtrack I really loved. And rest in peace to Riverboy. They died this year, and I mean, I always loved this project, and it was really unfortunate of their passing. But I'm glad that the game is continuing on. You know, there were some very heartfelt posts by the developers. I think Devolver's the publisher. I don't know if they're also the devs, but either way, um, I know that game is getting a big DLC expansion next year. And while I'm going to assume that Riverboy is not on it, maybe there will be some big influence stuff or maybe some samples or something. So I am looking forward to that either way. So just to kind of see where the game is going. But yeah, fantastic soundtrack. Glad to have it in my top five. Albums of the year, and then we have artists and songs. So the let's go through the songs first. Dreamtime, I believe it's Dreamtime Wonderland, off of probably Death Brain. I don't always know all of the tracks by heart off of Fantasy Noises, even though I probably should. I usually have it on in the background and I'm not actively checking, even though I did just do an album ranking for it. I guess I could pull it up right now. Okay, yeah. So the Dreamtime Wonderland is the second track in Death Brain debut, and then Still Dreaming is the intro one. Yeah, that makes sense. Then there's a weird one. This is an artist who is nowhere in the rest of this between the albums and artists. And there is another artist that doesn't appear anywhere else in the other categories, kind of in the same way that Cult of the Lamb also. Actually, well, no, Riverboy is number five. Wow, okay. Um, yeah, no. Why is Good Credit here, and what even is it? Because y'all may not know. I. Oh wait, no. I just realized that the. Never mind. I'll get to the artist later. But no, this is the only true outlier here because Good Credit is a song that is a guilty pleasure of mine. It was off of Playboy Cardi's music. And I don't really like a lot of the stuff in that project, but there were a couple tracks that I did actually genuinely like, and that song has a really, really good Kendrick verse, in my opinion. So I had it on loop around when it came out. I really liked it personally. So um, a bit of a guilty pleasure song. I don't really liking a lot of modern Cardi, like post Dilet or even just music era Cardi. But yeah. Anyway, then you have Celestica. This is from Crystal Castles. They are surprisingly not actually on this top five. I know on Receiptify they were pretty high up for a while. And actually I'm shocked that that is the one that popped up because I really thought that if it was going to be anything, it was going to be probably the song I like a bit more generally, but I guess maybe listened. Excuse me. Last was oh my goodness, Magic Spells off of their debut record because Celestic is off their second record, but it is a weird one to kind of just be in there. So I guess there are two. There are two kind of random ones. I guess it's not that surprising given I've talked about my enjoyment of Crystal Castles, even if I've only reviewed one of their records recently. Maybe I'll do more at some point, even though it's loud. But yeah, and then Deserved Fate. What is Deserved Fate, and why is it number one? It was like far and away my most listened to song. I had like 200 listens of it. This is a like ambient breakcore DMB track that's not by Death Brain. It's by These Wicks, which is number three on my artist purely from that song alone. I listened to a couple other things that they had, and I didn't really like it. They have some weird songs, but that in particular one, it was a song in a Geometry Dash level that I saw that I really liked. That was like freeform orb stuff. Very weird, very spacey. That was like my Balatro song of choice, pretty much. And then yeah, we go to artists, and you have Riverboy, which is Cult of the Lamb. You have Duster, mostly from In Dreams. That was pretty much the main album I listened to from them. Sometimes I would listen to it together, but mostly just In Dreams. These Wicks just off of Deserved Fate alone, and then Death Brain, and then Quadeca. And yeah, not too surprised. Top genre was jungle, so even though Quadeca was not, was the top, Death Brain and These Wicks, I assume, kind of pushed it out into jungle. I don't even know if it really counts as jungle, but that was what it was. But yeah, my album of the year was Vanisher. The other albums I remember listening to and ranking this year were, I would say, in order of enjoyment, there was the Pink Panthers record. I remember that came out this year. I think it came out this year, and I gave it a pretty low score. I gave it like a 4. I didn't really like it that much. Like, there were parts I did, but I didn't get that much out of it generally. There was, oh my goodness, there was the New Model Actress record, which I gave like a 6. Maybe I will revisit it and change it at some point. Yeah, sorry about that. I had to do a really awkward cut. My recording cut off on its own. But yeah, I was basically just saying, I gave it a 6. Uh, there are individual tracks like Acid Rain and Baton that I really loved towards the end of the year, but a lot of it was really inconsistent for me. So, yeah, for Pirouette from Model Actress, I was pretty mixed on that one, but I did listen to it. There was I believe that was from this year, but I definitely listened to it this year, was, well, let me think about it. There was the Real Space Racer 2. It's a very good album, by a good friend of mine. Very fun electronica, like kind of OST based album. It's very good. Some highlights for me, definitely in there. I am completely blanking on some of the names. I think there was like Defragmentation or something, but yeah, I'm blanking out. I know there was the Megamind ARP at the end that I didn't like as much, but there was definitely some songs I am fully blanking on. Oh, like The Collection. But yeah, there were some really good songs in there. Somewhere either just before or just after it in ranking, I definitely had, and these were like 8s, all in the 8s range, I believe, was the, oh my goodness, Tyler the Creator, Don't Tap the Glass. I probably would drop it a little bit below where I had it originally. Sugar on My Tongue blew the heck up. I reviewed that album, I think the day or the day after it came out. Although I wasn't lyric checking it like I was with a lot of other albums. But yeah, I gave it an 8. I did really enjoy it. I remember saying, "Oh, maybe I like it more than Igor," and now that I've actually taken the time to go back to Igor, that's not going to be the case once I re-review it. It had been too long, and also I didn't like it, Igor, as much on my original listens as I do now. But don't want to spoil too much of my review of that. That will come up next year most likely. But either way, above that, I know there was 2 albums I gave a high 8 that came out this year. The one I would probably rate as my 3rd favorite album of the year that I listened to this year, because there was also I want to honorable mention to Stardust. Stardust is confusing because it has a song named Starburst on it. It's the Danny Brown album that has some songs that I just cannot believe exist. There is Synthony and Quadeca that are on the exact same song in that album. You have Underscores on that album. You have Jane Remover on that album. You have even, oh my goodness, I'm blanking, but there's so many weirdo artists on that record. I Fentanyl is on that album. Like, it's quite good, but I didn't give it a rating mostly because I wanted to wait to lyric check everything, which I did do. I just didn't give it a proper score. So I will probably end up giving it a formal review, but I don't know where it would place. Probably in the 7 to 8 range. But The End is an incredible song. So I did want to mention that album because it's quite good, and it's I
you know, honestly, I probably like most of the Danny Brown verses in there more than the one on Vanisher. So, not that that's saying too much. Bakunawa, I don't love his verse there, even though that I love that album. But anyway, yeah, and then my probably third favorite that I listened to this year was Clips, Let God Sort 'Em Out. This was a lot of people's just very high praised album or favorite rap album of the year, and that's totally fair. Um, because I didn't do a formal review of music nor listen to the entire album. I don't know if I will care to. Um, so there's not really that many other rap records, if at all, that I listened to this year. I guess you could count maybe the Danny Brown album, but yeah, it's a very lyrically dense album. I don't love all the production, and some of the Pharrell bits really annoy me, but the highs of that album are incredibly high, and I mean, you have Tyler, Kendrick, and Nas on the same album. Like, it's hard for that album to be anything more than, well, anything less than incredibly good. But I didn't fall in love with it as much as some other records. I also will put another honorable mention to an album that I haven't fully reviewed but did come out this year, being Antichamber by Puma Blue. A friend of mine introduced me to Puma Blue, and I ended up really enjoying their discography. I listened through all their stuff. I don't know where I would rank their albums. It's going to be a little difficult. They're probably going to be in the 7 to 9 range, if I had to guess, maybe 6 to 9 range. But yeah, I did have my second favorite album of this year be specifically X Chamber, which is the sequel album to Antichamber. Because Antichamber is an honorable mention that I didn't review, but I did really enjoy, in particular, Tapestry. It's very like borderline. I mean, that specific album, Antichamber, is ambient, a little creepy, slow, kind of indie, a little jazzy, with some very pretty vocals in Antichamber. There are just some fully uh, drony songs in there and ambient songs, but the one that is truly drone ambient is X Chamber, which is like its kind of amnesiac style sequel album that just it's definitely different. I almost compared it to The Fall by Gorillaz, where it feels like there are some ties to Plastic Beach, and they're released the same year as the other album. And from what I've seen, it's not that well received relative to the rest of their discography. And right now, it's the highest rated album for me, just at least in terms of accessibility. Again, I did say I think all their stuff ranges between like a 6 and a 9 for me. Right now, that's just a high 8. It's very high 8, but there's some issues I do have with that album, even though it is incredibly accessible to me. It's probably the most accessible album I listened to this year in terms of, oh, if I have a migraine or something, or a really bad headache, it's pretty easy to throw that on. And it's also good while I'm doing something else. But it's hard to just pay attention to that album by itself. I'm not totally sure how to feel about it on its own. But yeah, my favorite album of the year was Vanisher, and I gave it a 10. I don't think it's a perfect album. Pretty much every album I've given a 10, I have some amount of issues with, even the Death Brain debut. I just don't believe in having a 10-point scale if I'm not going to use all 10 points. Technically 11, because I do put a 0, but I just like being able to use the full scale, and I feel like if a 5 is just average in my enjoyment, 10 is 5 tiers above average in my enjoyment, and simply it just is. At a time like this, Foregone, Casper, there are some of my favorite songs that Quedeca's ever written and produced. Some of my favorite instrumental moments, even on the lowlights of the track list for me. There are some moments I love. I've talked about Bakunawa. That's probably my least favorite or second or third least favorite song on the album, and yet there are some instrumental moments that I am in love with in that song and all of the songs. It's really hard because that album I can listen through front to back with no qualms, and it will just be a great journey regardless. I love the through line, I love the production, it's shockingly varied. The lyrics are quite good. There are a couple spots where I have issues with it, but it's pretty few and far between on such a monumental like accomplishment of a record, and I'm very happy about it. So yeah, those were all of the music things I wanted to discuss. In terms of my own music, I released basically nothing. I released specifically one single that was recorded last year, and I teased a different one onto one of my new albums. But yeah, I that was about all of the music stuff for this year. So we've talked about YouTube, we've talked about gaming, and we've talked about music. I think that's all of the main stuff. There's really not too much else that was going on this year. Obviously, I've been not doing a lot of recording and things, music wise, and not been playing a lot, but a lot of it was just doing that moment when, and in between that doing some other stuff. I mean, obviously there was BFDI, so a lot of, the theater releases. Teapot 19 happened this year. The new BFDIA episode happened this year. Some really great episodes. I didn't love everything, and I remember the start of this year had BFDIA and Teapot. Specifically, there was Teapot 15 and I think it was BFDIA 17 with the crossover episode. I've talked about I don't like Teapot 15 at all. It's one of my least favorite episodes of that season. Teapot 20 also happened this year, and that is also one of my least favorite episodes of that season. But 19 I really liked. I definitely didn't like it as much on full release as I did on the leaked release. Also, season 4 was a big thing this year. I really got obsessed with episode 2, and I never fully or formally reviewed episode 4 because I just haven't cared to. I probably will soon. And oh yeah, Digital Circus also was going on this year. That was a big thing that I was discussing. Um, there was Digital Circus. I've talked about. There were quite a few episodes I really loved this year. Not the most recent one. That one was probably my least favorite that they've made. But apart from that one, the other ones were pretty good. In particular, episode 5. I loved episode 5. Yeah, yeah. Um, what else? What else? Um, I thought I had something and I think I lost it. Definitely some Smosh stuff. Definitely some random YouTube things. Little bit of Hive Mind, but pretty minutely. Random animes and shows and things that I've watched. I'll probably do more of that um at some point. I'm thinking of maybe getting a month or two of Crunchyroll just to have something to watch. But I don't know, maybe. And yeah, I'm struggling to think of anything else. Oh, Splatoon stuff. Maybe I should actually talk about Splatoon stuff. I am a spectator now, fully in that game. And I have friends who play it that I spectate. And yeah, Third Kits was a pretty interesting era. I'm very much so hoping for more of them. Third Kits, I mean, I've talked about Splatoon 3 kits as one of my favorite things to discuss, in the same vein as Balatro Jokers. But I think in terms of what will be functional, I'm a lot more interested in the kit stuff, and potentially new maps and things. So I've been very excited about that. The new upcoming Splatoon uh, game, Splatoon Raiders, I'm pretty excited for. I don't know when it's gonna come out. I'm not gonna make any statement because I don't really care. Like if it's shot in the dark, I think it'll be next July, but I really don't know, and I'm excited for that. Even though obviously with modern Nintendo era things are kind of out of whack, I am excited to at least watch that game. I will probably buy it, and when I'm physically capable of playing it, I will play it. But I don't know. Um, yeah, I don't know if I'm getting more than that. Between that, my audiobooks, Catabasis and Piranesi that I enjoyed. Um, I don't know. I think we've covered as much as I can cover. That moment when has been great. Revived again. I don't know when I will make another playlist for it. Probably when we hit somewhere in the 100 range. But I don't really feel the need to yet. Um, if 2 years were technically contained in the original That Moment When revived, then it doesn't bother me if this one does too. And also because I'm uploading so much less frequently, I'm not as worried about the insanely massive amount of scrolling I have to do doing the 250 episodes of the last one. I'm pretty happy with where we are at now. So, music has been covered, podcasts have been covered, or the podcast, and then even some other stuff. I've talked about Smosh Mouth, which is their podcast, and even some Daniel Thrasher. I think they also did some stuff, podcasty stuff. Sam O'Nella had a uh, crossword, like the New York crossword puzzles. I was watching that. There was someone else doing like different Wordle clones that I don't remember the name of. There's so many different YouTube channels and things I watched, so it would take too long to get through everything. But I think this is a good closing to the year. Yes, I'm doing it a day early, but I don't feel too bad. I don't think too much is going to go on tomorrow, and if it does, I will discuss it later. And any final predictions or hopes for next year? Honestly, I just hope I'm able to play stuff, but even then, I just hope that I have some fun because genuinely, yeah, I mean, oh, the new Gorillaz record, I guess, comes out next year, and the new Puma Blue record, so I'm excited for both of those. Hopefully, a new Death Brain record. I got baited into thinking that the that Death Brain release was going to be an album and not just a single, but oh well. Motion Engine's a very good song, so I'm not upset. But yeah, I'm hoping for more music. But yeah, very cool. And that moment when yeah, I'm excited. And this is like over double the length of the last one I did for this, so very cool.